if you're an elementary music teacher and you're looking for a classroom management strategy, this is the one that I use that has been working really well, and I've been loving it and have been using it for years. So this is called the card system, and it'll pretty much change your life. Let's get into it. All right, so the card system is a classroom management system that I actually got from a teacher down the street. She is retired now, but she had a wonderfully well run classroom, even in a difficult school. Actually, I went to observe her and I was amazed by how awesome, like, the kids were so great and they did so much. And at the end, she made a comment that that class was the worst class in the school, to the point where that teacher was quitting like a month into the school year because she couldn't handle them. So my point in telling you that is that this works even if it's a more difficult class. Now, this isn't the only thing you need for classroom management, so I'm also going to link some other classroom management videos down below because I have a lot of things, because I'm very passionate about it. But once you get your relationships in order and you get your routines in order, you do need some kind of strategy to help students know what is okay, what is not okay, and how to proceed. So without further ado, the card system. So the card system is really simple. One thing I love about it is that it's just like, it's cheap and easy and simple. What you'll need is some construction paper that's in different colors. So you'll need green, yellow, I added orange, and then also red. I just take these different ones and I laminate them. I actually have a freebie though, I will link down below, and it has like the colors of the border and then like words inside so that they know, like green card, red card, all of that kind of stuff. So I will link that down below as well, but you can, again, make it yourself, but it's free. So with the card system, basically what happens is if students are doing a good job, then they can get a green card. The green card can represent whatever you want it to. The teacher that I saw, what she did is she would give out green cards for students working hard, following expectations, all of those things. And then at the end of class, the kids who had a green card got to play a special instrument that nobody else got to play. It took like 30 seconds to play the instrument of the day. So it was a quick thing, it was musical, but it was a reward that they got to do that was extra exciting. I actually don't have printed out green cards because we use Dojo at our school, so that's what I use like in lieu of that. Or you could give out the green cards and at the end of class give those students Dojo points. That would work too. So you could also do something like they can get a sticker, they can get a piece of candy, I don't care. Whatever you want to do with the green cards is great. Now, when students are not following directions, that's when they get the other color cards. So we start with the yellow card. In my class, you get a yellow card for just anytime you're not following the directions. It's like the first offense. We make a big deal about the yellow card not being a huge deal at the beginning. It's essentially supposed to be a little timeout. Now, I like to do the yellow card at the kid's seat because I just find it works best in my classroom to have them have the yellow card at their seat. While they have the yellow card, they're not allowed to play games, they're not allowed to play instruments, they're not allowed to do any of our fun things until the yellow card goes away. The yellow card goes away as soon as they are following directions, sitting correctly, quietly, paying attention, all of those things. And we talk about this very in depth at the beginning of the year, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. So I usually shoot for the yellow card to be like a minute or two, especially with the littles. With the older kids, maybe like 5 minutes, but not really any longer than that. The point is like, hey, that's not correct, fix it please. It's fixed, great, your yellow card can go away. If they have a yellow card and we're still struggling, I actually added in something. So I added in the orange card. When you get an orange card, that's a timeout away from the class. So you have to go sit in the back of my room. I have like a bunch of doors because my room used to be a middle school room, so they're like practice rooms. So you sit up against a door in the audience, because in the audience you can watch but you cannot participate. So this is a little bit longer. It's typically more like 3 to 10 minutes depending on the age of the student, and again, it depends on if they're getting themselves together. So if you get an orange card, you go sit in the back. Once you're following directions, being respectful, sitting correctly, all of those things, then your orange card goes away. You get to come back. It's like it never happened. If you have an orange card and you're still not following directions, then it goes to a red card. In my classroom, a red card means you're in the audience the whole rest of class. You do not get to come back. I will call whoever you stay with and tell them that we had a bad day in music. And with the older kids, I give them silent lunch, either that day or the next day. The silent lunch, I will say, is especially effective, especially with 4th grade. I always have it in 4th grade, which is perfect because I have 4th grade lunch duty. But like they know that that's coming and they really don't want you to call home. They really don't want you to have silent lunch. And especially with the older kids, if you are at a school where you can't get in touch with any of the parents, then having something like that that's in school that I can say like, you're gonna, you know, come have silent lunch and sit with me in my room, helps, because even if you don't get in contact with the parents, even if the parents don't care, then they still have a consequence in school that you're in control of. So I do recommend that. I will also say with the older kids, when they get to an orange card, I have them do a writing activity, and that helps them mostly just to calm down. So they get their orange card, they get a writing activity, they move to the back, and it just has like, I'll link them down below. Actually, they're my TBT shop, but there's a couple different think sheets. Some go along with the rules that we have in my classroom. Some go along with like, just, you know, how can we be respectful in music class? Some are just like, copy this sentence 10 times because some of us can't read and I don't have time to read all the questions to you. And I do find that really helpful with the older kids because 1, it makes them calm down. 2, it gives them the idea of I can't come back until this is done. So sometimes I'll see they'll like sit there and sit there and sit there, and then we'll start playing a game and they'll be like, which is fine. Like I'm cool with that. It also, sometimes I will say, they sometimes take the paper and they rip them up, and that's fine, and then they get a red card and we call home and they have silent lunch. But whatever it is, it just kind of helps in that way. I will mention with the cards, the kids will crumple the cards up, they might rip the cards, like all those things do happen, and I don't really mind because it's kind of like a stress reliever. It's like a stress ball, you know, to like sit there and crumple up the card, and it just like helps you to get the fidgets out and then you chill out. But you can't come back if you're messing with the card. So we talk about this stuff very, 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 very in depth at the beginning of the school year and all throughout the school year. I have my kids for a week at a time, so every single Monday I remind them about these things so that they don't forget, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Again, it's very important to make sure that the kids know what warrants a card, what doesn't warrant a card, and how to come back and get their card gone and get their card to go away. That means you need to be upfront with those expectations from the beginning. It also means you need to be consistent. If something earned you a yellow card yesterday, it earns a yellow card today. It earns a yellow card every single time. Don't be willy-nilly with like lots of cards one day and no cards the other day. That's when you'll lose control of the class, because they'll know that you are just all over the place and they don't know what to expect. If the kids know this earns a yellow card, they will be less likely to do it. I'm not gonna say they're not gonna do it, but they'll be less likely to do it. Also, if they know that their yellow card can go away, they're more likely to calm down and chill out and get themselves right so that they can come back. In my classroom, we have a lot of yellow cards. I'm really quick with them, but we don't have a lot of orange cards and hardly any red cards. Like at the end of the year, my yellow cards were all crumpled up and gross, and the orange and red were like pristine. It was really funny actually. But that being said, just make sure that you are consistent with it and make sure that the kids know what to expect. I'm very particular and I'm very, you know, upfront about that, because if they don't know what to expect, then they can't behave correctly. A couple of things that I like about this system, it has really helped with kids knowing where they are. So they know whether they're in trouble or not. They know whether or not they're gonna get to play the instruments. I don't pass out the instruments and then have people crying because they don't know that they're in trouble because they've been acting like a fool. If you have that physical reminder, it helps them to know like, okay, I need to fix it. And then they have the physical reminder going away and they know that they're okay to come back. It helps so much with the kids just knowing where they are and where they're standing, that life is a lot easier. It's also something you can do a little more subtly, so you can kind of like slip a yellow card to a kid instead of like making it a huge big deal. But really what we do in my classroom is I just keep them up at the front with a basket. I also keep pencils and the writing assignments up at the front in the basket on the front table. And if you're not following directions, I say so-and-so yellow card, so-and-so red card, you know, whatever. And they know exactly what that means. They'll go up, they'll grab it, they'll go sit down. If they refuse to go grab it, I tell them the yellow card can't go away until you get it. So sometimes it'll take them like 5 minutes to go and get it. That's an extra 5 minutes that they just earned because they didn't follow directions the first time. When they put theirs away, I don't tell them anymore. I go. And the reason I started doing that is, one, it means that we're not stopping the whole class to make a big deal about you putting your card away. And 2, it means that they have to pay attention or they won't know when the card goes away, because if they're not looking, then they won't know. And sometimes I even say, like, remember, if you have a yellow card, that you need to be watching so that you'll see when I tell you to go put it away. And that's really effective because, again, they have to pay attention and they have to be able to do that. So this works really well in my classroom. Hopefully it works well in your classroom. Make sure you're consistent, make sure you're doing all of those things, and make sure that before you, even get to this, that you're implementing routines, that you're forming relationships with the kids and all of that good stuff. So I will leave links to that kind of stuff down below in the description, because classroom management is like a whole beast. And it's lots of moving parts, and if you don't have all the parts together, then it won't work. You gotta have all the different things. So thank you guys for watching. I would love to know if you've used this system, and especially any like rewards that you have. Leave those down below in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye. One more thing before I let you go, because I have a blog post about this, so I'll link that down below too. But I just saw one of the comments on the blog post. Somebody asked, does everyone get a card every day? No. You do not get a card every day. And I'm assuming they're referring to the green cards. No, everyone does not get a green card every day, because we should not be rewarding the status quo. If you're expected to do X, Y, and Z, great. I reward people doing extra, and how I phrase that is I tell them not everyone gets a card every day or a dojo point every day. And the other thing is I look for specific people, and I only give out like 2 or 3 at a time. Sometimes I tell them at the beginning of class, I'm like, I'm gonna give out 3 dojo points today. I wonder who's gonna get my 3 dojo points. But I'm very particular about it, because I don't want it to be like I always get a green card for existing. I want it to be like you actually have to earn it. And now that varies between students. If you have a kid, actually I taught summer camp this week. Last week, one of the children ran out of the classroom in a big, huffing, puffing fit. This week, he did a really great job and was like super on it, like really good with the eye contact. I'm really big on the eye contact and all of that kind of stuff. And so I like made a point to tell him, like, you did a really good job. So that is someone where if we, if you sitting still and making eye contact is good for you, then I'm totally fine with you doing that. But I'll do that all throughout. I'll say like, okay, I'm looking for a good audience member. Oh, so-and-so is being an excellent audience member, card, dojo, whatever. But I only give out a couple at a time, because, I mean, you gotta think long-term. What are we teaching the children? We need to teach them to, continue to be good. So I want them to be good, and then the green card's kind of like an extra thing. So there's that.